So, as you all know, Jerry's real name is Jared, which is pretty bland. I'm so sorry, Miss Hanson.
My mom's gonna love this episode. I think we're so excited to have you on.
Yeah, super excited. Mike and Jerry do not condone catching COVID. Just a disclaimer.
Birch, I gave you my UK phone number, and you haven't texted. If you guys, he'll put his Venmo in the link.
I'll give
And
my
if you
phone.
guys could just send him like $5.
There is no hole for headphones. This is not an iPhone 4. All right, you ready? God damn it!
Start over.
Oh,
Yeah, you paused. I thought you were.
That's fine.
Turn.
what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mike and Jerry in the Morning. We're excited to have you all back for episode 2. My name is Mike, and I'm joined once again by my partner, my co-host, hailing from Jersey, my good friend Jared Panson. Jerry, how we doing?
Mike, I couldn't have done the intro better myself, except I already did last week on episode 1. Check that link out if you've not already watched. Rich, what's up? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I noticed that you wanted to title this episode "Get a Lamp for Your Face." What's that all about?
Wow, interesting. I did put that in the episode notes, and as you could see, my face is well lit, and
Oh, okay.
the podcast is going to be better for it.
Fair enough. I was just curious. So, yeah, back to what's going on. What's going on in your life?
What's going on? Today is day 4 or 5 of classes, online classes, so that's been fun. Just staring at a screen for 5 or 6 hours a day. My eyes hurt,
Nothing like it.
and yet I'm still sacrificing to do this pod because I'm staring at you from a screen. But classes have been good. I'm watching a ton of basketball, and yeah, pretty much same old. Birch, what about you?
Well, I got my wisdom teeth out the day before my classes started. They started at 8 a.m., so that's pretty brutal. I mean, it went well. Laughing gas was certainly an experience. So, I mean, honestly, I don't remember a thing about it. I don't know if people have that experience. Like, they didn't knock me out. I wasn't asleep, and apparently they could give me commands and I would respond. It's a little bit scary if you think about it. Yeah.
I went on laughing gas, and
Like-
I don't remember the surgery, but
Yeah.
I do remember. So they messed up my wisdom teeth surgery, and I needed to go to the hospital for 2 days afterwards. So seems like you're doing better than I did.
Yeah, I mean, eating is still a struggle 6 days later, so that's not great. But other than that, it's all right.
You sound good. You're projecting well, and
I
that's
am
important.
I am on Advil. I'm on a lot of Advil right now.
That's important because a lot of our listeners, they said they wanted to hear you speak more than you did in episode 1. So what do you have to say for yourself?
I mean, it's understandable. People can't get enough of me. It's a classic response, But
Yep, they got about 3 minutes of you out of 15 last episode. So
I'll be bringing more energy today.
got it. Well, speaking of episode 1, we want to thank everyone for listening. We got over 150 views on YouTube, and we're up to around 70 followers on Instagram. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm not sure I had any expectation of views on YouTube, but I feel like 150 is about what I expected we to get. So yeah, I was excited about that.
Starting number. It's a great starting number.
Right, but take into account the 10 views that I did, just checking the views over and over again. So
Yeah, we'll call it 150.
they're inflated a little bit, but
It's okay.
I also want to give a shout out to a good friend of ours, a mentor of mine, Andrew Allen. He designed our logo, and he's been helping a little bit with the creative part of the pod. So thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Drew.
First thing on the agenda today, I think our loyal listeners, and frankly
Our loyal listeners.
the
the
150 views. I think everyone, including myself, deserves to know what the hell the name of our podcast is really all about, why you fell in love with the name, and why you're in love with the name Jerry.
Well, first things first, we'll go with the name Jerry. So, as you all know, Jerry's real name is Jared, which is pretty bland. I'm so sorry, Miss Panson. if
Wow,
you're watching this.
Jared is more bland than Jerry.
Oh,
How is that
100%.
even possible?
Like, Jared's just he's boring. He's like an accountant. He's not doing
Wow.
much. Whereas
My mom's gonna love this episode. She's gonna hate you. She's gonna never invite you back to our house. Good thing you'll never come anyway because you hate me secretly. But continue.
No, of course not. Jerry is an electric name. It flows off the tongue. When you hear the name Jerry, oh, I'm gonna go to Jerry's house. People get excited. Who is Jerry? What's he doing? What's at his house?
It's just mysterious.
Exactly. I'm going to Jared's house. Be like, Jared.
I absolutely hate the name, and some may ask, why put that as your podcast name if you hate it? And the reason is that I am a good team player, and I support my partner.
Thank you,
And
Jerry.
when he said he wanted that to be our name, I thought, man, I really hate it. Everyone hates it. No one likes it but Birch. But hey, why don't I support my friend? And so that's where we are today.
I also want to make it clear to the viewers that I do call Jerry outside the podcast.
You
Jared,
actually don't. You've been calling me Jared on the pod a little bit, so I feel grateful anytime my real name is used at all.
of course.
And then yeah, we're
Okay.
about to
Well,
go ahead.
well, still gotta explain the name part.
Okay.
Anything like Mike and Jerry in the morning. I think if you put anything before in the morning, it just sounds good.
What about Birch and Jared in the morning?
I mean, Jared kind of ruins it a little bit.
Okay. The amount of suggestions I gave you for other names.
I mean, I'm just gonna, yeah, but they weren't great. Like they didn't flow. You know, it's all about the flow.
Okay.
Oh, what
Well,
podcast are you listening to? Mike and Jerry in the morning. That comes out in 2 seconds.
flows. You're right.
That's flow.
No, I mean I've given it to you, and we're just gonna run with it because
I mean, I have to ask you one question. You have 5 seconds to answer. Name something before in the morning that wouldn't sound good. No, it's been 5 seconds. No, that's a bummer. It was 5 seconds, man. I mean, I don't make the rules. I'm a big rules guy, though.
All right. Well, I was gonna say Birch and Jared in the morning, and I was gonna throw it back in your face, but it didn't work. Yeah, before we head to our interview with our good pal Max Blacker, I just want to disclose to the viewers that for the second straight pod, we're not taping in the morning, hence why the name leaves some questions.
You know,
Up
maybe
for grabs.
we'll release it in the morning, maybe, but probably
Interesting.
not. Probably,
We released it
probably
at
Thursday
midnight.
Night. Yeah, probably
Midnight
Thursday
is the
night.
morning. Yeah, it's the morning essentially.
Technically the morning.
Yeah. Well, why don't we do it, Birch? Why don't we get right into our episode? Today we're talking about being an athlete during COVID. And if you're a normal person like Birch and I, you've experienced some lack of motivation during COVID. But if you're a psychopath and you've been grinding every single day since March, then you can probably relate a little bit more to our good friend Max Blacker, who is overseas right now playing soccer. Without any further ado, let's go across the pond and let's bring Max on.
Let's do it.
Max Blacker, welcome to Mike and Jerry in the morning. We're so excited to have you on.
Yeah, super excited.
Max, we're going to call you that, your first name, because that's your God-given name, and that's the only name we've ever called you. So the first thing I want to ask you is, how does it feel to be the odd man out of this podcast? Because I know most people think of us as a 3-man squad, but that is certainly not the case for this podcast series.
Yeah, well, first of all, grateful for to be the first speaker, first guest on this podcast. So thanks for the invite, guys. But also sad to see that I wasn't.
We have a few unreleased, but continue.
Sad to see that I wasn't invited to Mike and Jerry in the morning.
Well, we did invite you. That's why you're here right now. What do you mean?
I think you know what I mean. I think the listeners know exactly what I mean. But you know, everything happens for a reason, and here we are.
God's plan.
Yep.
So Max, why don't you give a brief introduction, a brief bio about yourself, you know, your hometown, your high school, and then how you ended up at Brandeis and how you started to become friends with Birch and myself.
Yes, so my name is Max Blacker. I'm from Scotch Plains, New Jersey. I went to Scotch Plains Fanwood High School for freshman and sophomore year, and then I transferred to St. Benedict's Prep in Newark, New Jersey. Represent Brick City. Junior and senior year of high school. Won a high school national championship. Was the best high school program in the country.
No biggie. No biggie.
Yeah. And then I graduated and went to Brandeis with Mike and Jerry, and kind of similar to, I guess, how in the first episode Birch was explaining how him and Jared weren't the best of friends in the beginning of freshman year. I guess I was kind of in the same boat. I did not
Jared
like Jared. He was never around me.
He
was doing his own thing. I didn't think.
Wow,
Blackie,
no
I
one
didn't think
liked
sucked.
him. No one liked him.
Max,
No, I did not like him.
Max, why don't you talk about what you thought of Birch always lurking in your room?
Also, I would like to take credit for that friendship between you two.
Go ahead, Max. Talk about what you thought of Birch first semester.
Yeah. So I get to preseason and I see this kid with a beard and like a buzz cut that's like like all his hair is like 1 millimeter long. Like it looks like he goes to like West like the like Naval Academy, and like they make you shave your head. Like that's what he looks like. On top of that, this kid just didn't speak for like maybe 2 weeks straight. I didn't hear him say one word.
You didn't
Sometimes
either. First of all, it wasn't 2 weeks. It was like a few days. It was 3 or 4 days tops.
Anyway. So sometimes I just make eye contact with Birch, and he'd look at me, and
weird stuff.
we make eye contact, and he would just like from across the room, like if our team was hanging out or something, and he would just like growl at me, or he would do like some weird gesture, and like it made me feel uncomfortable, but it also made me wonder, like, is this kid okay? Like, is there something wrong with him?
I was letting you know who the dog of the house was, okay? That's what I was doing.
It didn't work.
It did work.
It did not work.
Yeah, so as the listeners remember, the room Birch and I stayed in was pretty quiet all fall, and Birch actually
Jared sucked, and no one wanted to be in that room.
Birch actually spent a lot of time in Max's room, and that was the hangout spot. And
The whole
year. I remember Max telling me that my roommate Birch would always just come in unwarranted and would just cramp their stuff. Just cramp their style.
Fake news. No.
I mean, he did come in unannounced. That's kind of how the friendship started. Birch just like came in one day. I remember like sub connect in hand. Like, says, "Hey guys, can I come hang out with you guys?" Like something like that. And we're like, sure. Like, why not? And then it kind of started from there. But it was Birch's company, because he started to say words, and those words started to turn into sentences, and then
baby steps. Everyone has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And then that friendship was born, and then I think definitely in the spring, Max and I got a lot closer. By the time the summer hit, we were hanging out a lot over the summer, because we live 45 minutes away from each other, and we were training together at our soccer facility together. So the three of us became pretty close. And yeah, that's sort of the brief history. Anyone got anything else to add?
I introduced you to. I made this friendship happen.
Yeah, I didn't know Jared at all until you introduced me to him. So thank you, Birch.
You're welcome.
Yep. And now it's to the point where Max and I text almost every single day. And Birch, I bet you know as much as any other listener about what's going on in Max's day-to-day life. And so
Max, where are you calling us from?
So that's a nice transition. But I just had to get a dig in there that you two aren't close anymore.
I asked Max a question. Please let him talk, Jared. You're being
Go ahead, Max.
So I'm calling in from Belfast, Northern Ireland.
Oh,
I think everyone knows where Belfast is, including me. So no need to put the nation, but thank you.
He said Northern Ireland.
I said Northern Ireland.
Come on, man.
No, I'm saying no need to say, because Belfast is, it's a hub.
Oh, Jared was doing the sarcastic thing where no one knows he's being sarcastic, but he's being sarcastic.
He was,
and now Max is doing the thing where he has no service. Max, are you back with us? Yeah, you're good. Okay, so Max, tell us what's going on in Northern Ireland. What's your day-to-day like? When did you get there? All these things that Birch should know.
I do know.
Yeah, so Birch, I'm going to start off with this. Birch found out I was not in the country probably the day that I left the country.
No. It was a week before you left. It was a week before you left, but it wasn't by you. It was by Jared.
Yeah, because you were like Jared was like, there's going to be no one like to hang out with at home. And you were like, yeah, like, why don't you hang out with Max? And then, yeah.
Max has been overseas for 2 months, and Bert's just found out. So that's where the friendship is.
Yeah. So that's how Birch found out.
What's the day-to-day like been?
Yeah, so I've signed with a 4th division club over here. So it's kind of through a program called NIGK, which is kind of a program that brings in goalkeepers every year.
Does it stand for Northern Ireland goalkeeping?
Yeah, it does. It does.
So smart of you,
Spot
Rich.
on.
Thank you.
Clever guy. Yeah. So anyway,
Dean's List.
so the
back to back.
goalkeepers are from first semester GPA. Anyway,
Dean's List back to back.
Hold up.
Anyway.
For the listeners out there, why don't you just explain that joke?
We explained in the first podcast.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay,
For the listeners, why don't you tell them what your first semester GPA was?
No, we don't need to get into that. They know I didn't focus on academics, and then I did, and now I'm back to back Dean's List, and that's all that matters.
Like Jordan 96, 97.
So now we say first semester GPA, and that's all you have to say.
Yeah. So anyway, 10 goalkeepers come in, about that number, every year, and then they're from all over the world. So this year there's a bunch from the U.S., a few from Canada, and then one from Northern Ireland. We come in, we'll train Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday with just the goalkeepers and goalkeeper training, and then before training. So it'll be from 1 to 2. We'll do some work in the gym, and then from 2 to like 3:30, goalkeeper training, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evenings, we're training with the clubs that we've signed with, and then we're playing game on the Saturday, and that's pretty much like the weekly schedule. But yeah, loving it so far.
That's awesome. So Birch, unless you have something immediate, I kind of wanted to go into a larger segment talking about, you know, playing soccer, being an athlete during COVID, and
so you want to talk about motivation right now? You want to
yeah,
get into
exactly.
that?
That's what I'm thinking.
Beautiful. So
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll start off. So Max, you know, you're overseas right now. Life is obviously different than what it's been. So what has life been like in the beginning of pandemic versus now / where have your motivation levels been, if they're not the same?
Yeah, so in the beginning of the pandemic, it was kind of strange because like I didn't know I was still kind of finding my bearings, like what I was allowed to do or what people were doing. And like I was obviously very motivated because we had just come home from school, and like I obviously thought that I was going to be playing like a college season in the fall. So like, what can I do to prepare for that, and what can I do to prepare for like the USL 2 season that was coming up in the summer that I was planning on playing in. Yeah, so I was very motivated. I was doing a lot of work on my own, but about a few weeks into lockdown, I hurt my back, so I was out for like a month, and I was kind of not feeling too great, like mentally, because I wasn't able to do anything like physically. I was really like stuck in like a chair all day. Maybe going on walks, like if I was lucky and feeling good that day. But then after like a month passed,
for the listeners, how did you hurt your back?
I don't even remember, honestly.
I think you were like shuffling or something.
Oh yeah, I do remember. I was shuffling. I was doing one of the team workouts. Yeah, that was it. It was like 5, 10, 5, but we were like shuffling, and I just like stopped. Like I was shuffling to the 5 yards and then cut to go to the other way, and I just like pulled up, and my back just had a massive spasm.
It's important. To stretch before.
Yes. I did stretch. I always stretch.
Not well enough, but continue.
Yeah, so motivation was kind of put on pause during
we're not editing that.
Oh man, that's tough.
Here you go, internet. This is a Brandeis education. Go ahead.
That might go in the promo.
You just added that. You just added it on. I didn't even say that. You just edited it to make me sound like that.
Edited what on?
Yeah, what?
What did I edit on?
I don't know, but we'll find out when it releases.
Continue.
This is gonna be the electric promo.
Hey, Birch,
Uh,
Yeah, I have trouble with speaking too.
let's let
as
the
you
man
guys know.
finish. We all do.
yeah, I know you have
Yeah.
trouble with speaking because you
I have
didn't
speech.
speak first.
I have, I
3
have speech
days.
problems. We're all struggling here. We're all learning the podcast world. Max, continue.
Yeah. Yeah. So my motivation was definitely put on a pause during my brief injury spell. But after that, I was definitely ready to get back on track. Started doing a bunch of individual training, just getting out to the field, hitting long balls, stuff like that. Then I started to meet up with some other guys and do some like group training. And then from there, my motivation kind of just stayed consistent because I never really I wanted to make sure that I was doing something every day to get better, whether that was like on field or like off. I picked up reading, joined a book club.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to the
Shout
Less
out,
Talk More Work book club.
LTMW pod.
Yep.
Shout out.
Yep. Right here.
So Max, I'd say, I mean, the way you're describing your situation is, I'd say it couldn't be more different from Birch and I, because, you know, when you found out the college season was ending, you made, you know, other plans to, you know, continue pursuing soccer, and you made best of a tough situation. And, you know, Birch and I are kind of in limbo right now, not necessarily playing on teams or practicing every day. And so, yeah, I guess that's an important distinction. At what point were you fully decided on going overseas? And I'm guessing that's a main reason why your motivation was able to stay so high, because, you know, you have games to play for now.
Yeah, I want to say late June, maybe early July, I decided. Yeah, so based on that, I mean, that does make sense, because, yeah, there was something to look forward to. But I think that if I wasn't here and like I wasn't doing this, I would still be motivated, because I think that's just how I am. Like I'd still want to work, not necessarily like wanting to work and like push towards the next like college season or the spring season or something, just to like individually, like I want to be a better soccer player, like better myself as a player. So like what can I do during this period to make that happen? Like I wouldn't necessarily be like focused on when's the next game I'm playing, etc.
Yep, I'd say you're built different. That's how I describe you.
Elite.
Birch, to
Some
bring
could
it
say
to
that.
Birch, to bring it to us, you know, we talked a little bit in episode 1 about how we were super motivated in March and April, and then when we found out our seasons were canceled, just naturally, some of our motivation has gone down, and we've been working out and playing soccer slightly less than we would have if we were at school or preparing for a season. And so I guess if we want to just try to say something as relatable as possible to all the listeners out there, you know, the way I've been framing it is that, you know, we don't have games for so long, you know, 12 months. And
More than that. Well, actually, no, it is 12 months now. Yeesh, that's for oh man.
And it's just, you know, every day, you know, I'd say my frame of mind is that I'd say, you know, the frame of mind is that, you know, because we have such a far amount of time to go, you know, every day you should sort of be doing what brings you joy.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes if that's playing another sport, if that's taking a bike ride, doing other things, you know, that's how I've been viewing it. I've been staying, you know, I've been doing stuff, but there's just less of focus on soccer, I guess. And Birch, I don't know if you relate to that. I know Max is probably shaking his head because he can't imagine thinking like that. But
I mean, I relate to it a little bit, but I think I'm definitely starting to transition my mindset. Like, probably within the next few weeks, I'm gonna really start ramping it up again, because I need to feel like soccer is soon. So I'm just going to pretend that the spring season is the fall season. I mean, obviously it's not ideal, but I'm gonna pretend that that's our competition season.
definitely, yeah. No, I mean the spring. We don't know what the spring's going to be like. as
We don't know
athletes.
what
We're as
fall in
students, but
2021 is going to be like.
yeah, no,
Let's be
definitely.
honest.
I think that's a good mindset, though, to just imagine the spring as being as normal as possible, whether we get games or not. Worst case scenario, we have a bunch of practices coming up, so that I'm really looking forward to that. But like I said, that's still 5 or 6 months away. So, Max, I want to bring it back to you, obviously, because you're the guy most motivated out of the group of 3 of us, I'd say. I guess talk a little bit about some of the obstacles you've gone through during your childhood. I know you've bounced around clubs, you've bounced around schools, and I think that's made you so much stronger, both as a person and as an athlete. And, I'm wondering if you think back to some of those days of, not necessarily having a starting position or not knowing what school you're going to go to. You think back to that and it kind of pushes you forward in this weird time. And you're in a weird place right now. You're in a place you might have not thought you would have been. So talk about your childhood, playing soccer, when you started, and then how that's affected, I guess, your COVID experience.
Yeah. So I started playing when I was about 6 years old. Played in the Scotch Plains recreational leagues. And then when I was 9, I tried out for the town's travel team, which was actually very good. There's a pro on it now, a few Division I players, and then myself. And somehow I made the A team that year. I didn't really think I was very deserving of it, but I did, and there was an A team, B team, and a C team. I somehow made the A team. And then after the season, yeah. Anyway, at the end of that season, a bunch of the better players on my team were trying out for a club team called PDA. And then I was like, why not give it a shot? Because their parents talked to my parents and said maybe I should just try out. So I tried out. And once again, somehow I made the team. I'm not really sure how. Wasn't very good back then. And I was actually on the B team at PDA.
Sorry for doing this, Max, but in the interest of everyone's time, we got to fast forward a little bit.
One eternity later.
And then I was at PDA until I was 16. I went from PDA to Cedar Stars Newark. The A team was very strong, but I definitely thought I was deserving of it. And then eventually when I was 14, I ended up moving to the A team. And that was because I was actually trying out for Scotch Plains high school team. Freshman year, I was on JV. At tryouts, I went up to the head coach and decided to have a conversation with him. And I said, Coach, I want a shot at getting minutes for varsity this season. And he looked back at me and he was and he laughed in my face. And that's when I decided there's no way I'm playing high school if I'm not going to get games. Emailed the academy coach at PDA and he told me, yeah, I can be on the team for the fall. So then I had the opportunity at the end of my sophomore year to transfer into St. Benedict's. And I think it was probably one of the best soccer decisions I've made, because I think if I hadn't made that switch, I don't think I'd be anywhere near where I am today. Because I was just able to play around kids that were from all over the world. And it was just a different level. The professionalism was kind of unmatched. I don't think you can find it anywhere else in the country at that level. That served as motivation for me, getting kind of cut from the varsity team as a sophomore, and knowing that I deserved it and that I deserved more than that. I started to work harder because I knew what my goals were, and I knew that I would have to put in more work to achieve them. And I had to kind of make decisions and get out of my comfort zone a little bit in order to make that happen.
So what's going through your head this summer when you're signing on to go overseas to play soccer? Because if it were me, I would be really nervous, and
I'd be terrified.
I guess I get to be anxious just to live on my own at this age and play soccer. So what was going through your head, and I guess what makes you built like this to be able to just say, screw it, I'm going overseas?
Well, I know that my like goal is to be a professional soccer player. Like that's what I want to do. Like while for as long as I can do that. And I know that that's something that is necessary. Like you can't choose where you play unless you're Messi. Like it's where you're wanted.
Manchester City, we want you.
Yeah. Well, yes, they do
That'd
want
be
me.
awful. That'd be atrocious. Aren't you a Chelsea fan?
Max
Yeah,
is,
I am a Chelsea
he roots
fan.
for all
I
super
didn't say
teams.
any. I didn't say anything.
Continue.
Anyway, yeah. So you can't choose where you play. Like you can't really make your own plan and say I'm gonna play at this team in 5 years. You don't really know where you're gonna end up. Like you can make plans, but they're probably gonna get changed a little bit here and there. So like you're gonna have to go on trials and who knows what country. Like so I think this is just like part of the process, and it's just something that you kind of have to like overcome. But I knew like I'm not fully on my own. I guess I'm actually living with another goalkeeper. He's from Toronto, great guy. Yeah, so I'm not like fully on my own, living with someone, and but we've got like I've got like 9 other goalkeepers here. So like if I wanted to hang out with someone, like it's not like I'm by myself, and there's people that are speaking a different language, and I can't do anything here. Like the people have been super nice over here and very generous, and there's always something to do. Like I'm not sitting around and bored all the time. But yeah,
Glad.
so like
Go ahead.
what was going through my head was just like this is like a necessary decision that has to be made, because like I might as well like prepare myself now, because it's not like I won't have to do it down the road.
I'm glad.
Did you just tell him to go ahead while he was in mid-sentence?
I was about to say something, he stopped, and then I told him to go ahead. What I was gonna say is I'm so glad you have friends over there, because Michael isn't texting you every day saying how you doing, what's up. You know, you're not getting those texts anymore. So
That's
I'm just
not
glad.
true. We
I'm
talk
glad
in
you
the
have
group chat
people
every day.
Oh wow.
Birch, I gave you my UK phone number, and you haven't texted me.
Do we not text in the group chat every day?
That's not intimate enough for Max.
Yes, I want a one-on-one. I want some 1v1 time with you, Birch.
All right, we'll see if we can make it happen. I'll see if
So
I can
Max-
fit you in my schedule.
Max, based on all that advice you've kind of laid out, what would you say to whether it's kids in middle school, high school, or college, kids who, aren't necessarily getting the best out of their team's experience? I'd caution kids to just move around club by club, but there's something to be said for, being able to have change and being able to fight for what you believe in. So what would be your advice to those kids?
I just say keep working. Like make sure you're at a place where you're wanted, and where you feel like you can develop on and off the field. But yeah, keep working. Like I know everyone says keep working, but like, and I haven't made it at all. Like I'm just starting out. Like I have like nothing to my name right now, but keep working for sure. Like I'm 20 years old. Like when I was 10 years old, like I made my club's B team. Like I wasn't anything then. But I've definitely improved a lot since then, but I'm still working and trying to climb my way up the ladder. So I think it's kind of the same for everyone. That's just something that needs to be done.
We've lost absolutely zero of the product now that Birch has left. Yes. So we can continue this conversation because he's mute, as our listeners have been saying. Max, my next question is, the thing that scares me or would scare me about going overseas to play soccer is that, you're kind of putting a ton of eggs into this basket of playing soccer, not in terms of sacrificing, education, not in terms of sacrificing, but in terms of, I'm sure a lot of your days overseas, they're either going to be good because you trained really well and played really well, or I can see them being pretty bad if you have a bad days of training, because, you're essentially there for one purpose. You're there to play soccer and get better. So I guess, have you experienced any bad days so far? And, how do you keep yourself level-headed when you're there to play soccer. You might have a horrible day. So what goes through your head there, and how do you not let it, I guess, wrap yourself up?
Yeah, so I've actually listened to some other guys, some other pros kind of speak about the same thing, and I've heard coaches say the same thing. Even the guy who runs the program over here said something along those lines, like, this can't dictate your mood all day. Like, your life can't fully revolve around it. Like, that's as much as you want it to. Like, it's unhealthy for your mind. So you got to find other things in your day that kind of keep you occupied, keep you busy. For me, I've picked up reading. I do that a lot. And there's just other small hobbies that I'm doing. I've got an internship. I'm starting up like a mentorship program. And I'm also working with a goalkeeper glove company. So there's other things, not only like in my day as like a day-to-day thing, but there's other things like in my life that I can look forward to, like besides soccer. So yes, yeah, I'm only here because of soccer, but it's like if I have a bad session or if I have a bad game, which is, it's like inevitable for everybody, no matter who you are. There's always other things in my day that I can look forward to. So it's not like I'm putting all my eggs into one basket as much as I want to.
Yeah.
It's unhealthy, but yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I
think everyone can relate to that during COVID. We've all had way too much downtime than we know what to do with. Especially during the summer, we have basically no classes, basically no, real team stuff. And so there's all this free time to kind of investigate what you're passionate about, get creative. And so I think, I listen to a lot of soccer players, a lot of basketball players who the first thing that happens when they become professional is, you go to practice for 3 or 4 hours, and then after you have absolutely nothing to do. Sports can only consume, a fifth of your day at most. And so, it's good to hear that you're doing creative stuff, and you're just expanding your horizons outside of soccer. And I guess my next question was, how do you avoid wrapping your identity around, how you're playing? And I guess you answered that. I think it is great because I'm sure we've all had those games where, we play poorly and we leave the field and we're just like, I invest dozens of hours a week into this sport and I just played a horrible game. Who am I? If I'm going to play this bad in a game, like, who am I if I spend so much time playing soccer and yet, like, I'm just average or I'm below average? Birch, have you ever experienced some of those feelings?
No, I don't really have bad games. But
this guy. It's true
yeah,
though. I've never seen him play a bad game. It's true.
Seriously, I feel like we said that freshman year, and then this year happened.
And then he played Emory.
I played. No, that was a bad half. That wasn't a bad game. That was a bad half. Anyways, yeah, everyone has bad games. When you have a bad game, it sucks. It ruins your mood for the whole day. It's only human, but at the same time, you gotta keep things in perspective. This is just the game.
Birch, what do you do to not wrap yourself in your soccer identity?
I mean, you just have to, as we said earlier, just not have all your eggs in one basket. You got to be doing multiple things in life that you're passionate about. Soccer cannot be the only thing. If that's the only thing and it's not going well, you're probably going to burn out. You're going to start to hate it. And then that's going to just start affecting the rest of your life.
Yeah, 100%. Hit the nail on the head, Birch. Like it.
I love it. Well, Birch, I think we're okay to move on. That was a lot of great insight from Max.
Thank you, Max. That was a great conversation.
No, we're going to continue the conversation.
Yeah, with Max. I'm talking about that part of the conversation.
Oh, that part of the conversation was awesome.
Great insights on that.
Yeah.
So with that, do we want to transition to the question of the week? Well, we have 2 questions of the week.
Sure, yeah. I like this question as the question of the week. And Max, I know we've dealt with the college application process and the recruiting and all of that. It's kind of a mess. And I've been thinking a lot I've been thinking a lot about the last few months, and just, what are juniors and seniors in high school going through right now, whether they can't get on campuses to visit or coaches can't see them. And so, I've been trying to compare their situations to ours.
You are
I'm
taking a
wondering,
long road to get to this question.
and Blackie, Max, I'm wondering,
Scenic road.
Yeah.
I'm wondering,
some
who
might
do you
say.
think, what grade has it worse right now? You got young high school kids who maybe,
No, young high school kids are fine.
Okay.
We're
So
gonna get freshmen and sophomores together right
okay,
away.
let's say, so how do we
Throw them
how do
out.
we contrast juniors and seniors in high school? Because some seniors may be committed, but some seniors may need the late recruiting process. And then juniors,
Wait,
junior
what
is
about
the
the
most
people
important year,
graduating?
so.
Yeah. Okay.
What about
So
the people?
let me
What about the
clarify
people
this.
graduating at
Let
the people
me-
graduating elementary school, getting into middle school? You forgot about them.
All right. Anyways,
They're not getting their
Anyways.
third grade graduations. I mean,
we'll
that's huge.
we'll make this a little bit more specific. We'll keep it to 3 age groups. We have the class of 2022, which are about to be juniors in high school. We have the class of 2021, which is about to be the seniors in high school, and we have the class of 2020, which is freshmen in college. Unless you think it's a different year, as you said,
Yeah.
with maybe
Or-
elementary third graders.
No. So I'm thinking about the seniors in college who presumably can't come back to college to play their final
Well,
soccer
that-
seasons.
You see, that
That's a
is
tough one.
head and shoulders obviously the worst because
Whoa.
Oh.
Eh,
I'm gonna
They-
disagree.
maybe. No, that's fair. That's a
they
good point.
played their last game and they didn't
That's a
even
good
know
point.
it.
That's a good point. No, I like that take, Birch.
Oh,
Thank you.
those ones.
Here's the thing, Birch. A bunch of our teammates who are that grade are coming back, and obviously a lot of kids don't have that luxury, but
Exactly.
we're a little bit biased with how we're experiencing that.
I would say most kids don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Max, what do you think?
Yeah.
So
No,
just
I'm
do the 3 younger grades. The juniors,
As in
seniors,
what?
and
Yeah.
freshmen.
Going into juniors.
Yeah, going into junior year high school, going into senior year high school, freshman in college this year.
And this is for soccer only for now. And we'll go to everything else
No,
later.
we can do it. We can do everything at
Let's
once.
split it into 2 though.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
separate.
say. I'm gonna say going into senior year of high school for a few
I
reasons.
agree.
Yeah. One, for soccer purposes. A lot of people aren't committed to schools until their senior year. Birch, I know you committed like as a freshman because you were the
Congrats,
best
man.
player in the country.
Good
I
stuff.
know you're the best player in the country, arguably. Best right
These
back.
are your words, not mine.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, so coaches still want to see players like in their senior year. So that obviously can't happen because there's like probably no soccer game that's going to be played if there is. There's like a recruiting dead period right now, something like that. It's a little fuzzy. And you can't take visits, you can't see schools. So that's the downside for the soccer part. And then on top of that, there's like the social aspect where like you can't go to. It's different in every state, I believe, but like in New Jersey, I'm pretty sure it's going to be all remote. I think something like that, which is awful. No, okay.
It's part
Well-
remote, part in person.
It's gonna. I don't know. I feel like it'll end up being all remote. But anyways, that's still not that fun. It's like not
Yeah.
great. Not gonna be a good experience. And then like I'm not really sure what's gonna be happening with like outside of school, people hanging out, like social stuff like that. So that's the downside. They're not really gonna be able to enjoy their senior year as they would regularly.
Yeah,
Birch,
so
what do you think?
I got 2 points. I agree with Max. The first point is I forgot the point. Give me a second.
We will not edit this part.
Anyways, the first point, soccer related. You know, for most players, the most important part of recruiting is junior year. For guys, at least. For guys soccer, that is usually the most important time, junior year of high school. The second point is that you can say they had a high school season, but once again, for at least upper level college, the majority of players get recruited from their spring seasons, not from high school, and they did not have that. And chances are they won't have a spring season this year either, which will be too late. Their only fallback would be to have a fall season this year, which they are not going to have.
Yeah.
So for
Right. So they would have to.
soccer and
Go ahead,
recruiting,
Birch.
they got screwed the most, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think on a person on a outside of soccer level, I think the kids who just graduated high school have it the worst because they don't have graduation or prom, and they also don't have like a real fall
I
or
mean,
freshman year of
do you
college.
think seniors this year are gonna have a problem? I don't think they're gonna have a problem.
I think it's like for
We
kids that
can't
are gonna
predict
be
that.
I mean, I
for kids
can
that are
predict
gonna.
it. This is purely opinion. Why can't I predict it?
I'm saying who has it worse? Who's had it worse the last 6 months?
Okay, come on. That wasn't the question.
Obviously, we don't know about the future. Like it's an impossible thing to predict who's going to have it worse in a year. Like I just think right now, the kids who are moving into college and having a weird college is already weird enough when you start it. Like imagine all this going on like that.
It would be very interesting.
No, I'm
to
gonna have
see.
to disagree though.
It would be
Okay,
very
go ahead.
interesting to
Max,
see
you have
what
a
percentage.
sister. You have a sister in the grade that I'm vouching for here.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's all that terrible because it's straightforward. Like you know what you're gonna get. I think like either there's like only a few options you could take. You either take like a gap year, you work, or you like commute to like a local community college, do something like that. Like I know some people are doing that, or you can just go to school and most like almost every class is gonna be online, but you can still like do your thing outside of classes if granted
Catch
you're gonna be
COVID, yeah.
social distancing. Yeah, if you want to catch COVID, you can catch a little COVID.
Just a little
But
bit.
yeah, like
just a
it's
little bit.
I feel like it's straightforward. Like you know what you're gonna get. Like they know where they're going to school. Like I think
There's less
the people that are,
uncertainty.
yeah, less uncertainty.
Mike and Jerry do not condone catching COVID. Just a disclaimer.
Taking that out.
Adding it back in.
I think, I think that's good. I think we talked about that part enough. What do we think, Mike?
For sure. We want to play the game now?
Let's
Or do
play the
we-
game.
Yeah,
Let's
do it.
play the game. So all of our
Birch,
guests
do
are
a
going to
funny
be
thing.
all of our guests are
Birch,
going to
like,
be playing
do
this
a funny
game.
intro.
What?
Birch, do like a funny intro to the game. Like, and you can just say it every week.
Okay.
You know what
So
I
as,
mean?
as
I mean,
Max,
I don't know if it's going to be funny, but we'll do it every week.
But
as Max-
like just try to be funny.
No,
Because they'll
you
laugh
see,
they'll laugh at you, not with you. It's still gonna be funny.
that's not what Mike and Jerry's going for. That's
So
not
this-
what Mike is going for.
so we're about to play a game that we want to play at the end of every interview with every guest we have on the pod. Birch, do you want to explain it really quickly, and then we'll get into
Yeah,
it?
so the game is called WAG. Word association game. I'm going to
What a
say a
name.
word. I'm going to say a word.
Why is
and
it-
Max, why is it what?
Why is it called WAG?
It's an acronym, man.
Max, come on.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, man, that's tough. Anyways, I'm going to say a word, and Max is going to say the first word or the first phrase that pops into his head as quick as possible. We're going to do this every week with all of our guests. So, and at the end of the first season of Mike and Jerry, we're going to have a ranking show.
Wow.
So Max, a little bit of pressure. You're the first.
Let's do it.
All right, you ready? The
Yes,
first
sir.
word is jet.
Hop off a jet.
Baguettes.
Spaghettis.
Fettuccine.
Um,
Oh man. Okay.
Gordon 327.
Toes.
Crawling.
Gurch.
You.
Snake.
You.
Grinch.
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 You.
Spoon.
Me and you.
Grad.
Vibes.
Visionary.
Also you.
Rhino.
Probably the guest of the next guest on the podcast.
It is not. Lloyd.
You.
Cleveland.
Ohio.
Belfast.
Me.
Quine.
Matthew.
Dog collar.
What you have around your neck.
Banana.
Split.
The letter K.
Okay.
Chocolate.
I don't know.
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Delicious.
Grill.
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 Grill master. Me.
Legend.
Dairy.
Rings.
Ring talk.
Ring talk.
New England Patriots.
Ravens.
The best team to ever play an organized sport.
That was good. All right, and last but not least, Fit God.
There's so many words that I could think of, but I'm gonna choose spaghettis.
I saw that one coming.
That was perfect. Way to bring us back around, Max.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Thanks so
Yeah,
much
that was
for
great.
coming on, Max. I got anything else to say? Anything to plug?
Any parting words?
Yeah. So I want to point out that I do have wires, but they're Bluetooth. Birch has regular, like the iPhone 4 headphones. So if you guys
don't.
could, he'll put his Venmo in the link.
Look at
And
my
if you
phone.
guys could just send him like
is
$5.
There is no hole for headphones. This is not an iPhone 4, folks.
Yeah. So anyway, if you guys could send Birch like $5 each, like any donation counts. It doesn't matter how much, but he's trying to afford AirPods, so that would
My
his-
Venmo
that
is
would make-
open.
Birch, say goodbye to
Birch
Max because
fives.
Birch,
Birch
say
fives.
say goodbye to Max because I know you won't be talking to him for a few weeks. But
All right, Max. I'll see you until I call you in 5 minutes right after this podcast.
Max, I already texted you, Max. So you know where we
Well,
stand.
that's a little weird, Jared. That's a little weird. You're talking to him right now.
We've actually been texting you during this entire podcast.
Yeah, we were roasting you the whole time.
I guess I'm the odd man out.
Said, look at his wires.
I can't wait till you. I can't wait till you hear what we said while you were away. All right, Max. That's all.
I'm
Thanks,
checking
buddy.
the group chat right now because I'm.
It's not in the
pretty-
group chat. It was on Zoom, man. It's gonna be on YouTube.
Okay, can't wait.
All right. Thanks, Max.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course.
Well, that's all for episode 2. Thank you to Max Blacker for hopping on. We will be back next week with a special guest to be determined. Birch, you got anything for us?
Yep. Watch out for the Instagram polls, and there will be a Ask Mike and Jerry. So if you want anything discussed on the podcast, feel free to fill that out. So the boys are still buzzing, the hay's in the barn, and that'll be all, folks.
Step in the kitchen. Let's go.